Hello everyone. First of all, before I start the cross stitch stuff, I just wanted to let you know if I seem a little bit more monotone and flat, it's because I went to a family funeral yesterday. My granddad passed away at the beginning of December and the funeral was yesterday, and it's really drained me more than what I thought it was going to. So you see these on a Monday. I always record on a Saturday, so Friday was his funeral, and I'm just a little bit, I feel really tired. It probably is the best way to describe it. But let's get straight into the cross stitch. If you want to hear like life stuff, I did say in the last Flosstube that I will keep life stuff for the stitch with me's and keep this to just simply Flosstube. So if you ever want to know about what's going on in personal life wise, catch the stitch with me's or the whipping chats, because I do whipping chats for diamond painting as well. Not so many, which I'm hoping to change soon. It's usually stitch with me's. But I am going to do these in no particular order. I have done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 projects this week. 2 of them were new starts. So one of them was the Heaven and Earth Designs SAL Stitch Along, and the other one was my Long Dog Sampler. So which one is on top? Okay, so this is the Heaven and Earth Designs SAL. And this was actually the first week's worth of progress. So the first day that I started mine, oh, dog's coming in. So the first day that I started mine, I actually got a really good amount of stitches in. I did 1,202 stitches on the first day. And then after that it kind of just whittled away, because I've been doing this while I homeschool my son during the day, so I've been picking it up and putting it down throughout the day. So typically every other day I was doing like 100 stitches, and I am Team Cat. And here is the progress that I got done. Now I originally started this on, because it's 28 count, the fabric hasn't changed, but I originally started doing this 1 strand, half stitch, and I didn't like the coverage in the corner. I don't know if you can see in that top corner, it's a little bit more thinner. I didn't like it, so I then switched to 2 strands, half stitch. So I'm still doing it in half stitches, but I have changed the thickness. So what I'm going to do with this SAL, is just use this for when I do the homeschooling during the day. So I'm going to carry it because I quite like that, and then then I don't have to worry about it later on at bedtime, and that just gives me some time to work on it every single week. I don't know if I'm going to finish this by the end of the year. I'm not worried about finishing it by the end of the year. I've really enjoyed being in the Facebook group for this SAL, seeing everybody else's progress. And actually, a few days ago, there's a lady on YouTube, I will mention her channel below. She's called the Stitchy Witch. She's a lovely lady. I am been subscribed to her for quite a while now, actually, probably over a year. But she has come up with an idea to start this new chart next year. So basically, just to rewind a bit, in the Facebook group for the SALs, the lovely owners of Heaven and Earth Designs, is it Michelle? She gave us a free Heaven and Earth Design chart for taking part in the SAL. And I'll show you a picture of what it is. It's a lady stitching, stitching. And I think it's a really beautiful chart. Now, I was so tempted to start it this year, but I am trying to be careful of my finances this year a bit more. And I have got a lot of projects on the go already. Like, I've already just started this one, the Long Dog Sampler, and I'm starting Tomb Raider, and then I'm planning another 2 starts in the year for my birthday and Christmas. So after watching her, she did some stitch with me's on her SAL, and she's actually doing the same one as me. She's doing the cat as well, so she's Team Cat. But she mentioned in her second stitch with me, I think it was, that she wants to do that chart that was given as a freebie for 2025, and she wants people to take part with her. Now I commented straight away saying that I'm more than happy to, because I do really want to do that chart, but not at the minute. So that is already, I've already got a 2025 start planned. So if you want to take part with us, go and check out her channel and comment and let her know that you're happy to do it as well. And I think it'll be a really nice chart to do. I've been looking for an image or a piece of artwork where someone is stitching, because I always see things where people are knitting or crocheting but not really cross stitching. So I'm really happy to be taking part in that one. But yeah, this is my SAL for this week. Hopefully it'll look a bit more done next week. I said the stitch amount, didn't I? 1,763 stitches is what I got done this week, and it says 7.69%, but we've only got 3 pages, so I think that percentage is for them 3 pages, not for the whole chart. So I probably won't put the percentage down going forward next week because it's just going to be confusing, but I will still count the stitches. So next up is my focus for January, which is Pokemon. So for every month of the year of 2024, I have a focus piece. And the focus piece for January is Pokemon. I worked on it 3 nights this week, and here's what it looks like before I started. And here is what it looks like now. So I don't know if you can tell. Let me just turn that down a little bit because it's now, the sun's now starting to come out. It's really early in the morning. So I came down to here. This is actually Gyarados. Last time I think it was last week, I said I didn't realise what Pokemon that was, but this is actually Gyarados. So when I got to the bottom of the page, I then went up and filled in a little bit more here from that Pokemon that I'd left behind. So I did 619 stitches on this in 3 days this week, and Pokemon is now at 8.64%. So still got a lot of way to go. This one is 18 count, 2 strands, full cross. So it does take me longer. It does take me longer to stitch on this one. I did enjoy doing it for 3 days this week. I felt like it wasn't too much, but it also wasn't not enough to get some progress done. So going forward for the rest of January, I probably will stick to this for 3 days of the week. So next up we have Venom. Now on the last Flosstube I said that I wanted Venom to be a finish by the end of 2024, so I'm going to attempt to touch it every single week. This week I didn't do that much. It was on a day where I just really weren't feeling up to stitching that much, so I only did 199 stitches, but here's what it looked like last week. And here's what it looks like now, so you're not going to see much progress. Now I actually did come out with my 4 little squares, so if you've been here before or haven't, I always work in 4 grids, so I usually do 400 stitches at a time, but I actually decided to start coming out and instead of stopping with the thread on them 4 grid lines, I would just carry on with the thread until I'd used it up. And I think that will help me get this done a bit faster. It really helped up here to start with when I first started the pattern just to do 4 squares at a time, because there is a lot of confetti in this and the colours are quite similar, so I got a little bit confused. But now I've already established a couple of parts of the pattern, so to speak. I don't think I'll need to stay to the 4 anymore, so whenever I've got a thread I will just carry on until I run out of thread and just do as many stitches in that colour as I can. I think that might help the progress go a bit faster. But I will be working on him again this week, probably just for the 1 day. I just want to touch it 1 day a week, every week this year, and then we'll see how much progress I've got in December to do and see if it's possible to get a finish for December 2024, and if it is, then I will like really focus on this one. If it's not, then I'll just take it through to the next year. So the next one I've got is Lord of the Rings, and this is my huge main project. It's 999 stitches wide by 600 and something long. If you've been here before, you've definitely seen it. I show it every week, and here is what it looked like last week. And here is what it looks like now. I almost finished the page. I could have finished it last night, but I decided to stop. I did do a little bit of stitching last night, but not much. How many did I do last night? I did 126 stitches last night, and I just weren't in the right mood. So I've almost finished. I'm like, there's a couple of stitches down here of this page. Originally this was stitched, so these pages back here, they were stitched 2 strands half stitch, and then since getting to about here I did 1 strand half stitch on 28 count fabric, just because the fabric was getting too thick. So by next week this page will obviously be done, and I'll be working on the next page, so you'll have a good bit of progress. So I did 1,193 stitches this week, and that gave me 3.75%. I kind of am not looking forward to the next page because I have a feeling it's just going to be brickwork, the same as this one, and I didn't enjoy the amount of confetti that was in here just for bricks. So I'm kind of hoping there's something else in there that I can focus on, but I don't think there is, because I think there's a big bit of brick wall that goes that way, like it's a bridge, and I think I'm going to struggle a little bit. If I get fed up with it, I might come back down here and just have a bit of a change of pace. So typically with this one I work on it every night, and I do 200 stitches on this before I do anything else, and that just helps me keep going with this project, because I've given myself 7 years to finish this project. So if I get sick of this brick wall, I will come back down here somewhere, and I'll probably switch. So I'll do a page of brick wall, and then I'll come down to the bottom of here and do something else. Then I'll go back to the brick wall and come down here. I think that might be the best way to do it, just so I don't get burnt out, because them stitches in there and the amount of confetti in that wall really did annoy me, and I think that's why I didn't want to pick it up so much this week. I was just done with it. So we'll see how it goes. I haven't actually looked at the next page yet to see what's on it, so I'll have a look tonight probably and see what it looks like. So the last one is a new start, and it's my long dog sampler. Now, before I show you this, I need to tell you a bit of a story. I am a bit silly, so if you stay on this channel for a while, I talk a lot of rubbish. My mind says things that my mouth doesn't. So I will say, I noticed on the last Flosstube when I was talking about intrusive thoughts, I was talking about where I was stitching spider legs, and instead of saying legs I said eyes, that type of thing. That happens to me all the time. And you know the astrology cat SAL that I showed you at the start of this video? Well, that's on 28 count pre-gridded fabric, isn't it? Okay. I decided to start a long dog sampler on pre-gridded fabric, so it was the leftover fabric from the SAL, because that fabric was some spare that I had, and I picked it up and just decided that the SAL was going to go on it, so it saved me buying extra fabric. And then I thought, well, okay, well, I've got loads of this fabric left over, I'll start the long dog sampler on it. What I didn't think of is that I bought variegated floss that had been hand dyed, and I was stitching on pre-gridded fabric that needs to be washed. And you're not supposed to wash hand-dyed floss. So I started this long dog sampler, and when I started it, the grids were still, like, you can still see them now, but the grids were like really apparent. So I got to about the first line, and then I realised, what am I doing? I can't wash this. It's a sampler, it's not full coverage. You're gonna see the lines. So I quickly stopped, shoved it in the bath, put boiling hot water on it to see if the threads would run, and they didn't. So I was like, oh, panic over, you know, thank God, because on the packaging when I got the floss it says not guaranteed colour fast, which I completely forgot about before I started this. But it hasn't ran at all. And I'm hoping you can see that. Look at the different colours. Isn't that so cool? I absolutely love this floss. I am really, really glad that I picked it. So it's by a lady, I don't know if you can see it, if it helps putting it in different lights, but it's from a lady called Natalie Stewart. She was the one that dyed them. I will leave her website below. She does have an Etsy, but she also has her own website, so it'd probably be best to go onto the website because there's more variations on there than there is on Etsy. And also she doesn't have to pay the Etsy fees if you buy from my website. But I don't know the lady, I'm just letting you know. I think I'm going to wash this again before I do any more, because last night all I did was kind of serge the fabric because I'd cut each side off of the SAL fabric. It was fraying all over the place. So this is obviously 28 count, and I'm doing it 1 strand full cross, so you can get the real effect of the variation. If I did 2 strands, it would be doubled over and sometimes the colours would blend in together and it wouldn't look great. So I'm doing 1 strand full cross. And I think I will wash this fabric completely before I do any more, just in case they do run. I threw boiling water over this straight from the kettle and the colours have stayed, but I don't want to risk it because while it looks quite white like that, there is, you can probably still see the faint lines in the gridded fabric. I don't know what came over me, I don't know why I thought that. I used this fabric to save money, but I forgot about the pre-gridded lines. And I wanted this on white anyway, so there was no point in going and buying any posh fabric for it because I just wanted a white background for this. But I only did 279 stitches because I was panicking about the grids, and that gives me a percentage of 0.43. But I really enjoyed stitching on this, which I didn't think I would. It takes me a lot longer because I don't want to mess up. I messed up 1 stitch and had to frog it, and I was like, oof. Panicking a little bit because I know I can fudge it when it's full coverage, but I can't fudge it. This is a pattern that you can't fudge. You probably could, but I don't want to if you do something wrong. So I made sure I took my time. I made sure I didn't count too far ahead of myself. And I'm going to make sure I do that for the entire pattern because I just don't want it to mess up. This is something that I don't usually do. If you were here last week, I said it was going to be a big challenge for me. So I'm really, really liking these colours though. They look beautiful in real life. I hope it come across on the camera well enough for you. I think I can actually show you. In case you weren't here last week, this is the colours that I'm using. So it's a mix of blue, purple and pink. And it is wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful. I think you'll see that one quite often because I seem to be really enjoying working on a sampler, which I didn't think I would enjoy. So I probably will. You'll see that one quite often. Okay, so that was all my cross stitching for the week. Probably not as much progress as I wanted to get done, but never mind. I think we're going to have a little bit of fun now, and I think for next week I am going to spin a wheel. So we'll do that right now and I'll see what comes up because I don't actually know what I want to stitch on next week. So already I will put Lord of the Rings, because that's obviously my main thing that I do, 200 stitches. I'll write this here. So Lord of the Rings, 200 stitches a day. Pokémon 3 times this week. Venom 1 day this week. So that's 4 days filled up. So I need 3 more charts. So let's spin a wheel. I'm going to spin this wheel, but it does have Venom and Pokemon on it, so if they come up, I'll spin it again. So I need 3 different charts. So the first one is Prefect's Bathroom. So I will stitch that this week. Should I do one night on that or should I do 2 nights on that? I think I'll do 1 night on that. And the second one is Poinsettia Pixie. And then the last one is Zen, which is actually my Stitch With Me chart at the moment. So that means I will just, what I'll do is I will stitch on it to do some filming with the Stitch With Me, because I need to do that anyway. So that actually works out quite well. So Prefect's Bathroom, Poinsettia Pixie, and then Zen will be the ones that I stitch on next week. I'd never show you my Stitch With Me progress on here, but after stitching on it, I'll make sure I stitch on it separately upstairs as well, because I am going to be switching that out of the Stitch With Me soon enough when I get the Tomb Raider chart anyway. So what I'll do is I will take it off the Lowry stand, which I record with it on, and I will show you in the next Flosstube the progress. Somebody said in my last Stitch With Me that the camera wasn't that great and it needed to be a little bit sharper, so I need to look into that anyway. I don't know if the camera just doesn't like picking up the printed chart very well, or if I have my lights on too high, because it did, I had a look at it on my TV screen and it did look a bit blurry at the start, and then when I moved the angle and did a different colour it looked a little bit better, but the camera could do with looking a little bit more sharper, so I will try and fix that for the next Stitch With Me. So I will leave you now and I will see you next week with all of these lovely stitching to do. That makes no sense, but bye.